Going to post some comments about this cheap router table to sell at Harbor Freight for 115 bucks. First note, there's a 1/4-inch round over bit I've installed. Now the reason, see that shiny stuff, those are washers. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 washers, 8 washers. I had to stack them like that to get this to be square with the level. The 1/4-inch bit, if you just put it in there all by itself, it'll go straight to the bottom and it'll be setting right there on top of the collet. Then you raise it up and you won't be able to see it. It won't do anything. You have to elevate it like that in order to use this bit. Hold on just 1 second. Let me pause this and I'll be back with some more commentary. I'm trying to stitch these videos all together. You can see it level with the table. And there it is. Fully, the router is as far up as it'll go. This thing, you better be willing to do some modifications to get it to work. There was some sort of little dial indicator here that I finally got tired of it falling out because, well, gravity and whatnot. It's held on by tension from this knob. You loosen the knob to adjust the dial indicator and it goes bing to the floor every time. Interestingly, for the plastic shield at the top, they have a little hole here for a cotter pin. Although gravity doesn't work that way, they didn't put a cotter pin on the little, scale, so there's nothing holding it in. Once you undo the thing, it just goes spang, and after it falls about 6 times, you'll say, why do we even need this anyway? I'm just going to measure the height of this bit from the tabletop with a square and not even fool with that because it's not worth it. It's not even accurate anyway. I tried to see if it was accurate and it didn't work. I mean, those readings bear no relationship to the height of your bit above that table. And let me pause this and I'll be back with some more comments. Okay, here is the bit that I just took out. The 1/4-inch bit. Okay, there's the stacked washers. There are 9 of them. And here's the collet. This machine, I think, was built for 1/2-inch bits. I watched a video on YouTube and the guy was going over this machine and he had the same problem I'm having with spacing, and he said, hey, this is a 1/2-inch bit router, and they just, stuck a collet for 1/4-inch bits and one for 3/8 inch and one for 1/2-inch bits in there, so you can choose which ones you want. Well, most people have 1/4-inch bits. It doesn't say anything in the manual about the spacing of these relative bits on this particular machine. You find it out by yourself. And you can see there is a 1/2-inch bit that I just put on this machine. And let me see if I can lower this and show it to you. Hold on, there we go. Yeah, there it is, 1/2-inch bit. It's fully seated in the collet, fully seated in the machine, and it's parallel to the table, which is what you're supposed to do. And that's the only way it really works. So you need to use 1/2-inch router bits with this particular machine. No one tells you this. It's not mentioned anywhere in the manual, but that's what you're going to have to do. Unless you want to work with washers and spacers and whatnot to try and get this to, approximately get up to your level with your table. So consequently, when I found this out, I went and bought these. A $60 set of router bits, which is the cheapest ones I could find, 1/2-inch. I'm not going to be doing any fancy fine cabinetry or anything. I just want to be able to run a router up through this machine occasionally. I probably will never use 80% of these, but I might. Anyway, now I have them, $60. more than half the machine cost. So, this is another thing you could use, a little plastic spacer. You'd have to cut that to approximately what 8 washers would be. That might be a little more easy to work with. Just kind of take a Dremel or something, cut it loose, or cut it in, trim it. Anyway, that's what you're going to have to do with your router. And I just put a square on this fence, and of course it's not square. I didn't really expect it to be. It just needs to be square, like 3/4 of an inch above this table, because that's where the router is going to be working. I'm using only 3/4 inch wood on this. Fence is cheap. Miter gauge is very cheap. It's just plastic. There's a lot of slop in it. I'm not sure why you would ever use this. I guess you could use it for something that was, not terribly precise. If you didn't need it to be precise, like for some piece of furniture, I guess you could use it. But they just give it to you. So what I want to do here is I'll get this thing started here in a minute. I'll show you a test cut with the bit, the 1/2 inch bit. See how that does against some scrap wood. Okay, I just ran a little scrap wood through this router. I adjusted it by eye, just looking down from the top, make sure the little bearing is flush with the fence. And that worked all right for me, anyway, for my little test. Here's the actual cut I got from it. That's pretty good. I don't have any complaints about the cut. It's smooth, it's straight, it's even. Profile looks good. For my purposes, which is just, me tinkering around the garage, making little pieces of furniture or something, I don't know, just whatever happens to come to mind, this should be fine. This router, that is. And if you get the right bits, these 1/2 inch bits, it works a lot better. It's a lot easier to use too, because you just stick the bit in and raise it all the way to the top. And you set up your cut as best you can. I've got a little piece of wood down here I'm going to make a fence for. I've already cut a little hole, but that's a little too small for this bit. As you can see, it doesn't quite fit, so that fits all right with the 1/4 inch bit, but I'm going to have to make that wider. The reason I did this is because this is a little straighter, and because that's narrower, there's less of the chance for it to catch on the other side. This thing's not completely straight. So as you're going along here, the board will go through, and then it'll kind of catch on something right over. Kind of like have to wiggle it just a little bit. Yeah. Again, Harbor Freight, you need to work with the little, if you got a Harbor Freight product of some kind, you need to work with the product you have and just modify it or make the adjustments needed to get it to work right. As you can see, it works okay. It's worth 115 bucks. Wish I'd known I was going to have to buy $60 worth of bits to go with it, but oh well. Hope you found this helpful.